Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to hear a proposal today for the Hyatt Regency Hotel. We are Keen Action Construction representing the University of Wisconsin Platteville. I'm Mitchell Goodenkoff, your Director of Pre-Construction.
I'm Drew Pollock, your site superintendent.
I'm Jaden Fiedler, your site safety manager.
And I'm Isaac Dahmer, your senior project manager.
Keen Action Construction has deep roots in the construction industry. Being founded in 1957, we're headquartered in Salt Lake City, Utah. We boast 350 construction professionals, having completed 500 commercial projects. We've completed projects in hospitality, convention centers, and healthcare facilities. We're also unique in that we have an international presence, having won the general contract for the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Rome, Italy.
At Keen, our core values are safety, quality, community, integrity, and innovation. These represent the standards we hold ourselves to as we work with you, the client, to bring this project to life.
Keen is proud of our company of accomplishments. With 1 million man-hours with no incident, an EMR rating of 0.62, 0 lost time incidents in the last 3 years, and we are ABC step-level platinum and have been represented as a top performer the last 8 years.
Getting into our past projects, first we have the Limelight Hotel located in Boulder, Colorado. This $200 million project wrapped up in August of 2025, and key similarities include the rooftop pool and extensive ballroom and exhibit space. Next up is the Bear Center renovation in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This $456 million project wrapped up in May of 2024, and similarities include the similar structural steel system, most notably the long span trusses used to support the rooftop ballroom. And then last up is the Residence Inn Manhattan Central Park, located in Manhattan, New York. This $308 million project wrapped up in December of 2013, and key similarities are the glass facade system, as well as the logistics constraints associated with building in a major metropolitan area. Getting into our project start utilization plan, if you look to the top right of the screen, you will see our material staging area as well as our job site office area. Moving down into the main site, we will start erection of tower crane number 1 to the east of the tower, as well as have extensive material laydown located as orange. Next up, we have our total footprint following construction of structural steel. We will move our material laydown down to the basement of the convention center, as well as start erection of our southwest tower crane here with 2 skip hoists on the north and south sides of the tower. Into our site delivery plan, we'll utilize 2 delivery routes: the north route entering through the northeast site access, and the south route located here entering through the south delivery access. We will utilize a just-in-time delivery strategy requiring 3 days notice for any deliveries, with a 2-day turnaround between unloading trucks and installation. Last is the site parking. Due to the limited parking close to site, we have opted to use the public parking to the north of the Salt Palace. We will utilize a transit bus strategy and transit bus strategy that will run at the beginning of the day, lunch, and at the end of the day. I'm now going to pass it back to Drew to talk about our schedule.
As you can see, we plan to take an aggressive approach to our schedule. With a notice to proceed in April 20th, 2026, we have final completion for December 20th, 2028. A couple of our key project milestones include auger cast piles, post-tension concrete, exterior glazing, structural steel, guest room finishes levels 7 through 19, and commissioning. Phase 2, we have a notice to proceed on August 18th, 2028, and a final completion on March 15th, 2029. We have guest room build-out levels 20 through 25, restaurant build-out, and the all-important door 617.1A. Now I'll pass it off to Jaden to talk about safety.
Thanks, Drew. Keen has focused on 4 areas of safety. By prioritizing these, we can ensure that our employees and the public are safe throughout the duration of the project. Public safety coordination plays a big role in this project. By keeping the public safe, we have opted to install temporary walls, barriers, and fences along with posting signage. With being in close proximity to public spaces and the convention center and attached parking garage being open during operation of the project, we will install a site security fence. Along the fence will be 2 security checkpoints where employees must show proof of ID. These security checkpoints will be housed and operated throughout the day and secured at the end of the night. Along our cranes, we will have protection fences along with motion detectors. If motion is detected, we have partnered with the local police department. It will send our team a notification along with them to check it out. Silica exposure is a high risk on job sites, so we will keep our employees safe by implementing engineered and administrative controls along with making sure they are complying with PPE regulations. Any work at elevated heights of 6 feet must have all fall protection in place, including tools tied off. All temporary access equipment must be secured and inspected before use, and controlled access zones must be established around heights and crane areas. Keene has a team of 5 individuals who will assist first responders with an emergency. Their responsibilities include removing temporary fencing, barriers, and temporary walls, along with escorting them to the location of the emergency. They will maintain communication with others in the area with mobile phones and radio devices. Now I'll pass it back to Drew for our community outreach plan.
At Keene, we love having a presence in the community. That's why we're partnered with the United Way of Salt Lake, where we focus on educational needs for children. We're also going to provide site tours to students and community groups so they can gain experience in the construction industry by seeing a real-life construction site. Our commitment to quality is defined by our 3-step quality control process. The pre-construction phase, where we focus on planning and preparation, the construction phase, where we focus on work operations and inspections, and the closeout phase, where we focus on final inspections, testing, and documentation. At Keene, we believe quality begins with people. That's why we've implemented our Key Craftsman Awards program, where $500 a month will go to our key craftsmen and up to $2,000 a year to job site management. With the proper motivation, quality can be achieved every time. Next up is our warranty. We believe we are so confident in our commitment to quality that we have upped the warranty to a 2-year warranty in lieu of the traditional 1 year. We believe extended protection provides peace of mind to the client. I'd like to highlight 3 technologies we'll use to manage our quality control process. Procore for updated specifications, quick RFI responses, Navisworks for 3D model clash detection, and Drone Deploy for initial safety inspections. Now I'll pass it on to Mitch to discuss our project estimate.
Thanks, Drew. Moving on to our estimate, our total project cost for Phase 1 came out to just over $317 million. To start, I'd like to highlight that our estimate includes our general conditions at 6%, our self-performed concrete work at 16%, and our contractor fee at 5.5%. For Phase 2, we added $26 million worth of work. That included for the Level 6 restaurant build-out, Levels 20 through 25 guest room build-out, and additional plumbing scope. Moving on to our restaurant, $3.4 million of added cost is allocated for the restaurant. That brings us to $410 per square foot. An additional 220 rooms were added. The cost allocation for this was $22.7 million, which brings us to $94,000 per room. To break out our estimate into 3 main scopes, we have our hotel at 91.6%, our site work at 5.8%, and our parking at 2.6%. These 3 percentages represent the total cost of trades for this project. To get a deeper dive into our estimate, we looked at a few key cost metrics for the client. Our hotel came out to $450,000 per key, which includes the cost of the convention center and the guest rooms. The parking garage came in at $177,000 per stall, and the site work came at $11.5 million, which includes a $3 million contingency fee for the repair of existing utilities. If we look at our major scopes by divisions, we have $50 million in concrete, $22 million in metals, $42 million in finishes, and $63 million in MEPFs. Thank you for taking the time to hear our proposal today for the Hyatt Regency Hotel. A few key highlights from our proposal include a phase one bid of $317 million with a phase two project cost of $343 million, leaving us with a substantial completion date for phase two of March 14th, 2029. We're safety and quality focused, and we are keen to take action.
Unlock your future with Keen Action Construction. Now we'll take questions.
Hi, great job. I do have a question for you. With the earthquake that just took place, we are expecting some aftershocks to kind of continue to ripple through Salt Lake. What kind of seismic monitoring are you guys going to put in place to kind of gauge where we're at?
Yeah, so we have gone out and reached out to a third-party engineering, and they, based on the area, Utah, they have a lot of experience. They're licensed in the state. So it's really up to our third-party consultant that we'll reach out to them, and whatever they feel is proper is what we have included in our costs for this project.
We'll also install monitors on the existing buildings and as we go on construction on the Hyatt Regency.
What is the biggest challenge you see on our project, and what are you going to do to mitigate it?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges is our electrical gear and a lot of our long lead time deliveries. Something that we did to mitigate that is we're asking for a large percentage of the project cost up front. So we're asking for almost 15 to 20% of the project cost up front. That allows us to order all that material and get it, as soon as we get the notice to proceed.
Another difficulty we see will be the long span steel trusses. It's going to take a lot of effort to shore the basement structure enough to actually place those trusses. So there's a lot of time built in the schedule for that. So
I had a question regarding your 2-year warranty. Are you willing to provide the 2-year warranty for the same cost to us as the ownership group for the 1 year?
yes, the 2-year warranty is at the same cost as the 1-year warranty. That's correct.
I have a question on your fee over here. So your fee is at 5%, right? Which is basically of the companies we've interviewed so far on the higher end. We kind of anticipated a 2 to a 2.5% fee on this project. Would you guys be willing to negotiate down?
Yeah, we would be willing to negotiate the fee, depending on the client. But we do feel that our aggressive schedule kind of makes up for that. And being able to get the owner in a lot earlier would, essentially boost their revenues to make it worthwhile to have a higher fee.
Question here. We're having some issues on the permitting side that might result in us needing to push the start 60 days. Can you hold your price for 60 days?
We would be willing to hold our price for 60 days, yes.
Got a question right here.
Over here.
So, should Utah OSHA show up on site, how are you going to handle that situation?
Any incidents, all subcontractors and our superintendents, anybody on site that is in charge of a crew must be filling out their daily paperwork. That way it's ready to be provided to OSHA. If there is an incident, we will thoroughly investigate that so everything is ready for them to show up on site.
In addition to that, on the work management end, we would continue to work as we normally work. We were very confident in our safety program that, they would find no issues. So we would have no problem with continuing to work and lead them anywhere on the site.
I got a question regarding your critical path schedule. You have 2 days between compact and fine grade until you start auger cast piles. How do you plan on building your drill rigs up fast enough to start drilling in 2 days?
Yeah, so a portion of our site work will actually be done to the east where we start our big foundations there. So our site work is going to start to the east, work to the west, which allows us to mobilize early before our site work is done. So the drilling rig can come in, have a week or two to mobilize on the east side of the property while they're finishing up site work on the west side.
over here in the back right. I noticed you had some costs in your general conditions for mock-ups. Which mock-ups do you think are the most important to get started on early, to avoid potential issues later on?
Yeah, so I think with this being a very like a four-story hotel, we did allocate some pricing for mock-ups for a lot of the finishes. With the repetitive guest rooms, you're going to be doing over 700 rooms. There's 50 to 60 types of one type of room. So we feel that we want to do a mock-up, make sure our quality is to our quality standard. Since it's such repetitive work, we need to get it right the first time. So that's why we included those costs.
With how much emphasis your team is putting on safety, can you walk us through your thought process to not have this job staffed with a safety engineer?
To not have it staffed, correct?
Yes. Do you want to jump to the other slide, the safety slide?
Sorry, can you repeat your question one more time?
Right there.
Yeah, I see that you guys have a huge emphasis on safety, which is great. Um, but I'm seeing that you're only staffing the job with a safety manager for 35 months and a safety director for 7 months, but there's no safety engineer. So I was just wondering what the thought process or reasoning was behind that.
Yeah, so since this will be such a big project for us, typically we do a safety manager and a safety engineer. But we feel it's such a big project, we are going to have our director of safety on it, and then our safety manager will be full time on a project every day, all hours of operation and construction. So it'll actually be our manager that will be on site full time. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I would also like to touch on that. We do also train all of our project staff, both the craftsmen all the way up to our management, on identifying safety hazards. So although we do not have a safety engineer on site, we do have that safety culture that is prevalent throughout the entire company.
So on your crane plan, it shows 3 cranes working at the same time, 2 towers and the crawler. Can you explain to us how we're going to be able to perform this work safely?
Yeah, so also in the crane plan, I believe Isaac stated that our two tower cranes will not be operating at the same time. And we will plan ahead and just make sure that they're not overlapping at any time. And if they are, making sure one is moved and completed before the other starts.
We also have a policy that states any day that more than one crane is running, they must fill out a form and then have a meeting the morning of that day of work to discuss, what they all plan to do today, where they will be reaching and picking from. So it essentially gets all 3 crane operators or companies, if it's different contractors, together to discuss the plan. And then that's documented, put into our Procore management software. And then obviously there's consequences if they don't hold true to their word.
We'll also make sure that the 2 crews running the cranes are in communication with each other in case there is a needed overlap. They can coordinate that.
Question. At the beginning of your presentation, I believe you mentioned you guys were just awarded the contract for the Hyatt Regency in Rome, Italy. Although we may be the same client, how do you ensure that our project remains your number one priority?
That's a great question. So with our project in Rome, we are the construction manager at risk, while at this job, we are the general contractor. So we have all of our staffing in the Hyatt area, or not Hyatt, the Salt Lake City area, focused on the Salt Lake City Hyatt Regency, while in Rome, Italy, we again are just the construction manager at risk.
I think in addition to that, like Drew mentioned, we are headquartered in Salt Lake City. This is a very big project to us. It means a lot to us. And it's a staple here in Salt Lake City so to be able to have our name as a GC on this project, I think it's very important to us and it would never not be very important.
I'd also like to point out that a majority of the schedule is self-performed work. So we'll be on site ourselves for a large portion of the schedule, which will make sure that we have a lot of focus on the Hyatt Regency in Salt Lake.
So speaking of self-perform work, I noticed it's about $51 million in scope. What are you doing, or what have you done to ensure that that is cost competitive with the local market and the subcontractors?
Yeah, so as the director of pre-construction, we bid out all of our work regardless of if we're bidding it ourselves. So we essentially run our self-performed crew as a separate entity that bids on RGC. So we received, over 5 quotes for concrete alone. And, being we are in Salt Lake City and a big concrete performer, we ended up being the most competitive.
I'd like to revisit your tower cranes for a second. So you've got 2 of them, and they look like they're placed appropriately. What I don't see is how you plan on powering them. Would you like to tell me how you're going to get that much power off the existing grid to power 2 tower cranes at one time?
Yeah, if you can go to our site, um, post-structural steel plan. In 1 second. One back. Yeah, so if you look closely at our site utilization plan, we actually have a 1,000 amp temp service at the base of each of those tower cranes that will be responsible for powering those tower cranes, as well as the skip hoists and other equipment used by the crew on site.
Let me clarify my question. Where are you getting 2 1,000 amp services from on the current grid?
So we'll be tying into the existing utilities. So per the RFP, all utilities are done and subbed up. So we're going to modify those existing utilities to service our temp power.
Fantastic, thank you.
Over here in the back right, I see in your schedule you've got 14 weather days included throughout the project duration. Where did you come up with those 14 weather days to include?
Yeah, so just from past experience in similar size projects, we want to give peace of mind to the customer that we are going to reach these days. So we felt, it was necessary to add the 14 days based on our past experience because we don't want to slip our end date at all. If we give you guys a date, we want to stick true to it. So kind of giving us that 14 weather days makes us hold true to the final completion date.
Front left over here. So we've had some quality control issues in recent projects. What are you guys going to do to make us feel comfortable with your quality control program, and what areas of scopes of work are most important quality control wise?
We believe the finishes require lots of quality control. We have quality control staff on site almost full duration. We encourage our team with the Key Craftsman Award to do good work and ensure quality is met. But like I said, the finishes, like in the addendum 4, I believe it was, the finishes 20 through 25, we want to make sure that those room finishes are top tier for the NBA players that will be staying there. So.
Yeah, in addition to that, like mentioned earlier, we're going to do lots of mock-ups. So not only for the finishes, but for the auger cast piles, we'll do, 2 to 4 test piles and anything in between from auger cast piles to finishes. We feel like we're going to do, when we feel it's necessary to do a mock-up, we'll do a mock-up. So that way, when we do start the work, when we bring in all these crews, there's no delay to our schedule. They have it all figured out and they can just roll.
With this being,
Go ahead.
with this being a downtown project, how do you plan to protect the site? And what I mean by that is by protecting it from crime, specifically the work in place, trade partners, materials, copper. What's your plan?
Yes, so all of our areas will have site security fences around them. And I touched on it a little bit, but we will also have site security cameras that are motion detected and use AI. So it'll be able to determine whether it's a person, an animal, or just something trash flying in the wind. That way, our team will be able to get a notification if there is an alert on site of somebody being on there. And then at the same time, it will send an alert to our local law enforcement.
With a project of this size, being extremely fast paced, how do you guys typically manage housekeeping and keeping the project orderly? And the last thing we want in a 3-year project is this to be remembered for, messy and just an eyesore on the community.
Yeah, so if you look into our general conditions in our proposal, we do have a full-time superintendent that's dedicated to material laydown and housekeeping. So we'll have a full-time superintendent for the full duration of the project that will manage our laydown, like Isaac mentioned, up to the northeast up there, and then all of our laydown in the orange, and then the laydown under the basement. So we'll have a full-time guy dedicated to that will work with not only our self-performed work, but all of our subcontractors.
Gotcha. Do you guys, are you going to provide laborers as far as just daily cleanup, or did you typically push that down to the subs?
So we do some. We do have one full-time labor for housekeeping, sweeping, whatever. But we do also put that into our subcontractors' contracts that they need to provide adequate cleaning personnel as well to clean up their scopes of work.
We have time for one more question, please.
Regarding the 12% that you're requesting up front for early material procurement, we're not seeing that any other competitors are requesting that. Is that something you're open to waiving?
Yeah, we would be open to waiving, but on our part, we feel like it's best you guys get the best end of the benefit from that because we are able to order a lot of our long time lead items right away. So we think it's better for you guys if you're able to do it, and we give it as an option and we encourage it. But we would be negotiate to not having to do that, but there could be some schedule impacts.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. Thank you. This way, this way.